Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something, I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hi, folks, and welcome into this edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and I have two fantastic guests, as always, set up for you in this episode of the show. I get to spend time with Brendan Walsh and David Jackson. Brendan Walsh, for years, was the director of golf up at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. You guys know that place. Historic. So many great tournaments have been held there. So many U.S. Opens, Ryder Cups, things of that nature. We're going to get into all of that with Brendan. They had the 99 Ryder Cup. Remember the famous Ben Crenshaw? Teams down 10-6 going into Sunday. I got a good feeling about this. We'll talk about that. They hosted the 2013 U.S. Amateur. We'll talk about that. They hosted the 2022 U.S. Open. We'll get into that. A lot to get into with Brendan. So many great stories. It's always interesting to find out what goes on behind the scenes when a major event is going to be held at a location. Brendan's got a lot of experience with that. I also get his thoughts on fan behavior. We've seen a lot of bad fan behavior lately, because even a little is a lot in that instance. So I want to get his feeling about what's going on there and if we can get that genie back into the bottle. We'll also talk about family. Brendan's family is deep into the Philadelphia golf scene. His father's a legend up there. We'll hear about that. He is the 13th of 15 children. We'll talk a little bit about that. We talked about it last time, but we'll touch on that again as well, and the importance of family and the influence it had on his life and the proud legacy that his family has in and around the Philadelphia area. So Brendan's fantastic. You guys know, if you spent the number of years that he did at a place like the Country Club up in Brookline, Massachusetts, the number of people that look up to him, respect him for his career, and like I say, comes from a respected family, you know this was going to be a great segment. Then following him, David Jackson makes his Next on the Tee debut. David played his college golf at the University of Florida, helped him to an SEC championship back in '85. He was a four-time All-American there at the University of Florida, won a couple of tournaments while he was there, went out and had a really nice professional career as well. He was second on tour in driving distance back in 1989. He won out on the Ben Hogan Tour, which we all know now as the Korn Ferry Tour. We'll talk about his wins. We'll talk about his time at the University of Florida. He's also now coaching and helping a young lady through her success. That is Megan Schofill. She won the 2023 U.S. Women's Amateur Championship. She won earlier this year out on the Epson Tour. So we'll talk about that and the things that he is doing to help her career go on. And then, hey, how could some of us get some help from a guy like David Jackson? So he's fantastic as well. Look forward to having him join me in segment number 2. So, folks, as always, I appreciate the fact that you're here. I appreciate the fact that you press play. Do me a quick favor, though, before we get into the show. If you would, wherever you're listening to the show today, you guys know how important the algorithms are nowadays. If you would subscribe and then give the show a rating wherever it is you're listening to us on, and then give us some comments. Give me some feedback. What do you think about the show? Whether you go out on Instagram or find me on Facebook or on X at CT Mascaro, or in the comments section where you're listening, I'd appreciate your feedback there as well. It all helps get this show in front of more great listeners just like you. So sit back, relax, let us take your mind off everything else going on in your life for the next hour or so. Before I bring on my first guest, I want to give you guys something that has just really stuck with me, and it's some products that I have been really impressed with. Now, they're local Pittsburgh products, but you can get them anywhere. It doesn't matter. They'll ship them wherever you're at. But two things that I am a huge fan of are hot sauce and I love spices because I do the majority of the cooking in the house. And there are two companies that just knocked my socks off when I reached out. And look, they're not paying for this ad. This isn't a paid endorsement or anything. I just am so impressed that I want you to know about them and give you an opportunity to try them. And that is Artie's Hot Sauce. Huge fan of hot sauce. That's a big thing for me. Plus Steel City Salt. They have so many wonderful spice blends that I wanted to make you guys aware of them. If you're an enthusiast of either hot sauce or great spices that are going to light up everything that you put them on, I wanted to make you aware of them. I love trying different sauces and finding ones that have the perfect blend between heat and flavor. And a lot of sauces can bring the heat, but they've got no flavor behind it. Now, that is why I've become a huge fan of Artie's Hot Sauce. Artie's has found that sweet spot. His sauces bring plenty of flavor first and then the right amount of kick behind it. Whether you're putting it on wings, taco, burgers, eggs, pizza, or just about anything else, Artie's Hot Sauce makes everything that you have taste better. If you're a fellow hot sauce lover, you've got to go give them a try. You can find them out online at artieshotsauce.com. I also want to give a shout out to the Steel City Salt Company. Their handcrafted spice blends and seasonings are out of this world fantastic. I've become a big fan of several of them, including the Steel City Steak Seasoning, Black and Gold Blend, and their Pittsburgh Pepper Blend. I added them when I do things like grill out steak, grill out chicken. I sprinkle them on vegetables to give those an extra kick. I'm also a big pickle fan, so their dill pickle salt is going to knock your socks off. Not to mention their Pittsburgh's Little Italy, which I started to include in my Sunday red sauce recipe and sprinkle on top of pasta to give it an added burst of flavor. Their Black and Gold Blend, Yinzer Dust, and Love Pittsburgh Everything Salt is great on things like fries, eggs, the baked salmon that I make. John and the crew over there are going to grab you by the taste buds, and they're not going to let go. You're going to enjoy the attention that goes into each and every one of their blends. You're going to love it. I promise you. Go out there and check it out online for yourself. SteelCitySalt.com. You know I also have a huge dose of vitamin G for everybody over at the Pittsburgh Tribune Review and TribLive.com. TribLive.com is the leading news website in Western Pennsylvania with news around the clock, Pittsburgh pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, and a podcast network, which is where you can find Next on the Tee. Bookmark TribLive.com or download the TribLive app for free and stay up to date with the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. Check out all of their wonderful beers and their gift shop by going online to pittsburghbrewing.com. Now back in Next on the Tee with me is Brendan Walsh. Brendan is the former director of golf at the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. He's currently a golf ambassador for the club. Prior to that, he was the head golf professional at the Patterson Club in Fairfield, Connecticut. Brendan grew up in Philadelphia, the 12th of 15 children to Barbara and William Walsh. His father is a Philadelphia golf legend known to many as Sarge. He is not only revered in the Philadelphia community, but also over at Villanova for what he's done for that university. Brendan played his college golf at the College of Worcester, where he helped the Fighting Scots to a pair of top 10 finishes in the Division III championship in 1983 and 85, and a first-place finish in the 1985 North Coast Athletic Conference Championship. During his time at the Country Club, Brendan did a tremendous job. He is widely revered in the game of golf. He helped host several of the great events that were held there, like the 1999 Ryder Cup, the 2013 U.S. Amateur, and the 2022 U.S. Open. And I couldn't be more honored. I get to have him back with me again today here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Brendan, thanks for coming back on the show.
I'm doing great, Chris. Thanks so much for having me back. It's always great to be on your program. And I learned from Jeff, I am in the think you stink category right now. I am thinking way too much of my golf swing. So I'm going to steal that line. So thank you for letting me listen to him.
Absolutely. So, Brendan, I want to get your thoughts because we are on the heels of the Open. What'd you think about Ryan Fox's big win and how the tournament went?
Boy, gosh, you love to see somebody that just stands up and hits the golf ball, not overthinking it. We all are way too analytical in this game, and that was a breath of fresh air to be able to see him deliver on those last few holes, and obviously the 62 on Saturday, and then come back and birdie 3 out of the last 4 to go ahead and win. And that shot he hit on 18 and be able to put that putt in the hole. Again, no time, didn't look at it from 5 different ways, and we all can be better in that. So it was a good reminder that we need to keep the game simple. And obviously a little bit of drama with the Scottie ruling and the Bryson ruling.
Yeah.
But, that stuff happens in golf. And, every tournament you have, you're always going to have some type of discussion and a lot to conversation going on about the number of cameras around and things of that nature. And you have somebody that maybe is not as popular as Bryson, no cameras around, but they've created a great theater, and they're going to get a lot more people with eyes on them. And you hate seeing that kind of stuff, and that be the chatter of the championship versus the great golf that Ryan Fox played. So,
what'd you think of those 2 rulings that those guys got?
The Scottie ruling, as much as people don't like it, whether you agree with it or not, it's right in the handbook. It's right in their rule book. It talks about TIOs. If you can't find the ball, that if it's known or virtually certain to have come to rest in the TIO, you're entitled to go ahead and take relief where it last crossed that margin of the TIO, and you get your nearest point of relief from there. It's again, people are saying, "Gosh, why did he get that break?" It's written down and it's in the guidelines, and they all felt that it was virtually certain. So, as much as you may disagree, it's in black and white, and so they had to make a decision, and they felt that it was virtually certain. Did he get a great break? He did. There's times where we get great breaks in golf, and there's times when we don't. I look back on Dustin Johnson at Oakmont when he won. That great break he got on the 10th hole when he hit it way left and got that break from the camera, the TIO. Bryson, again, he wasn't doing it on purpose. He's out there. It's a lot of cameras that are out there. He did improve his line of play based on what happened. And, you should go forward whether you like him or not. He's good for the game of golf. Bring a lot of people into it. And you, again, hate seeing the drama. Wish that the confrontation happened behind closed doors and not for the public to see, which created a lot more drama. And then, with the whole thing about him not playing, or I should say, maybe not playing and holding the tee times back and things, that wasn't the right thing to do, which was a disappointment for that to happen. But it was pretty clear. But again, you have somebody that maybe is not of that level and not going to have cameras around them. Would they have been? They probably wouldn't have called a penalty on themselves because maybe they were not aware of what they were doing. So you see some crazy things in golf, and these two you hate to again take away from the wonderful accomplishment by Ryan Fox and the great job he did. Very, very exciting down the stretch.
Nobody knows better than you what goes into a club hosting a major. How long before the actual start of a tournament like that does the USGA or the PGA of America come in and start making preparations for a major event like a US Open or a Ryder Cup?
In my experience from Ryder Cup, I just started at the club the year before, so plans were well in advance. But when we got started with the 2000, when we had the amateur in 2013, there was some discussion, would our golf course be able to handle a U.S. Open? And to see how well the golf course performed and held up during the amateur, that gave the USGA a thought that, hey, gosh, we could go ahead and have a U.S. Open here. So the conversation started, and yeah, I would say the work is going 5 to 7 years ahead, that you are starting to talk about doing things. You're going to do things to the golf course. You're trying to get things done a good year and a half to 2 years prior, just so everything can get grown in and be mature and to go through the process. But committees are formed, and we had a great group of people that were able to rally together, and it brings your clubs together. It's a really wonderful thing to see how many different people get involved and the number of volunteers and how proud the members are to serve on those committees, and then also to go ahead and have that opportunity that week of the event and how proud they are. And it's and every club goes through it. It's a really neat thing. There's a lot of inconveniences along the way, but that's where you have a great team of people working there, and all the volunteers and the leaders of the club that communicate and making sure that being transparent with all the processes and works out really well. And it's been wonderful to be around those events. I was involved with the 1990 U.S. Senior Open at Ridgewood Country Club way back in the day as well, and watched that as well. Back then was first year that Nicklaus and Trevino were eligible to play, and a lot of excitement around that event as well.
So you mentioned the number of people and the volunteers that get involved. Talk about like what your staff is like on a day-to-day basis, but then what it grows to in order to get the place ready a year or two in advance.
From our perspective, these big organizations like the USGA and the PGA, they have their templates, and they do a great job. They have a wonderful model that they use, and they have a great team of people, and they're educating along with the club and getting the various committees together. From a staff perspective, the grounds group would swell. From a golf perspective, we pretty much stayed the same. We had a big enough team resource-wise for 2022 that we had an opportunity to be able to provide our number of staff members that we had to take care of all the things that were necessary for the event. But from a volunteer perspective, and it takes an army, as they say, and we had a great number of people that got involved, and you heard the different announcements being made, the number of volunteers at these major championships. We were very similar to that at TCC, and had again great championship in 2022, and something very proud to be part of, and our team was very proud to be part of that.
Is it controlled chaos the week of the tournament? What's it like when now it's here, now it's first round, it's Thursday morning? What's it like for those 4 days around the property?
I use a Bill Belichick line: is prior preparation prevents poor performance. And as long as you're doing all the right work, and our club and with the USGA, they're pros at it. And I was down at Aronimink this year to see the PGA of America as well as Aronimink and all their members. You work so hard for all those years leading up to it, and all the meetings that you have is to make sure that you're taking care of everything. And yeah, there's certain things that come up during the week of the event, but you meet on a weekly basis, or on a daily basis, and you take care of those things as you go forward. But you have a great group of people that the two organizations respect one another, and it runs very, very smoothly. And we've been very, very blessed with that. And again, all the other championships, everybody uses the same model, and it's a very good template, as I said, the USGA and the PGA of America have here in the States. And I'm sure the RNA has the same type of program in place.
When it's all over, is there a bit of an emotional letdown, or are you breathing a sigh of relief at that point?
It's a little bit of both, Chris. It's one of those things that you love the energy, you love everything that's going on around the club. But, there's a time where you realize that, hey, you know what, I need to catch up on some sleep, and I need to get back to my normal way of life. But you wonder how long you can go on that adrenaline that you have. But boy, it's pretty darn exciting when you're on property each and every day, especially leading up to it. You get 2 weeks out, and everything is built out, and you're putting on the finishing touches. Very, very exciting. And the team, everybody's running on the excitement and the adrenaline, and just putting their best foot forward each and every day.
Brendan, one of the things that we are seeing become a big issue in our game is fan behavior. We've seen fans behaving badly at a couple of big events. We saw it at the Ryder Cup. We saw it at the U.S. Open. I want to get your thoughts. It feels like we are going in the wrong direction regarding fan behavior. Jordan Spieth talked about the influence that gambling may be having on the game because people have money riding on how things turn out. So I wanted to get your thoughts. How do you feel about where we're headed with fan behavior? How do we get this thing back under control?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chris. You hate seeing inappropriate behavior as you go forward, and I think you have to find the expectations of what's expected. Obviously, Augusta does an amazing job. The RNA put something out this week, and could we do better in defining those expectations? So what's aware, and it takes resources to make sure you're keeping control of everything that's going on. And I'm not going to touch on the gambling thing. I'm not a gambler. I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff, and whether that's causing some of this or not. But it's, I think that you put yourself, when you go to an event, you expect that you are respecting the game. And we hope that people that will continue to go ahead and respect the game and understand it. And we have so many new golfers, and it's a fine line. You have the old school like myself, who grew up around the game through his father, and fortunate enough to be able to play at nice places and knew the decorum. But you're a lot of folks that it's not that they don't understand. They just never been educated on maybe what golf behavior is supposed to be. And if they're new to the game and they're used to going to other sporting events, they may feel that's the case and haven't been educated. But again, that's a defining of expectations with the events. Whoever's running them, and they put it out in the ticket package, and people are aware of what's expected, but have the resources that you can go ahead and take care of any issues that take place. And that's it's hard because it costs a lot of money to go ahead and do that. And a lot of chatter about the Ryder Cup, and there were a lot of people that were thrown out of the Ryder Cup. Did we get them all with the PGA of America? They did not, but they sure tried as hard as they could to go ahead and make sure that things were going well. And it's unfortunate. There were some uncomfortable situations there, but there were a lot of people that were thrown out. You didn't hear about that, but they tried hard, just didn't have enough bodies to handle it all.
And we'll be right back. In golf, fast isn't a nice to have, fast is a necessity, and speed off the tee is where it all starts. That was precisely the thinking behind the all-new QI4D family of drivers from TaylorMade, our fastest, most fittable drivers. Built to meet the demands of the world's best players like Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Nelly Korda, and the rest of Team TaylorMade. The QI4D lineup was engineered to unlock the 4 dimensions of speed, starting with a multi-material driver head with enhanced aerodynamic shaping, combined with a faster face and our revolutionary React shaft system. The TaylorMade QI4D drivers are ready to extract every bit of speed from every golfer's unique swing profile. Our industry-leading adjustability and fitting unlocks it all. Watch the full story of QI4D, our quest to build the fastest, most fittable drivers, and unlock your newfound speed at TaylorMadeGolf.com/findingfast. You guys know what a fan I am of On Point Golf. Folks, get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only 3-dimensional ball marker with alignment technology and a removable coin. It is approved for use according to the rules of golf as defined by the USGA and the R&A. As we all know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your 3-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and lower your scores. Folks, with the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals and amateurs alike out there using them now, it's the #1 ball marker in golf that actually helps you lower your scores. Go online to onpointgolf.us, read about the science behind it, then put one in your bag and make more putts. I feel like it's the 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let On Point help yours as well? Again, onpointgolf.us. Check them out and get one in your bag today.
PGA Tour Superstore pros aren't born. They're made. Every January, hundreds of associates talk to the top manufacturers, learn about the latest clubs, test the newest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls, all so they can get you the perfect fit.
Now let's get back to the show. Speaking of the Ryder Cup, I want to go back to one of the biggest moments in Ryder Cup history because, as we said, you were right there. In '99, the U.S. is famously down 10-6 going into the Sunday singles. Ben Crenshaw made that famous statement that he is a big believer in fate, and I have a good feeling about this. Were you around, actually, for that press conference?
Yes. Crenshaw was a childhood idol of mine, and so that was really neat for me to go to TCC and Crenshaw being the captain and getting to know him and spend some time with him leading up to it. And I had a chance to be in there and had that finger up. And, you all thought, okay, is he crazy? But Benzie, a guy that's very just loves the game. He loves the history of the game, a spiritual guy, and to go ahead and he had that belief. They had a great night at the Four Seasons in Boston. Came back the next day with Tom Lehman beating Lee Westwood in that first match just to get the energy going. And they see David Duval getting all fired up when he made that putt on 14, and to go ahead and to hear about the Davis love story about Justin Leonard as he was walking off I think the 11th or 12th hole. He was in tears. He was playing awful, and gave him a pep talk. And everybody talks about the putt he made on 17, but he made an incredible putt on 15 to keep everything going. And the energy around the place that day was something I'll never forget. And a lot of people, you meet more and more people that were there. Based on the number of people said where they were and where they were on the property, there would have been 100,000 people there. How many people I've heard it from, but it was pretty neat to see the energy. At that time, it was the largest comeback ever in Ryder Cup history. The European team did it not too much later. I think at Medina, 2010. I may be wrong on that date there. Excuse me if I'm misquoting there, but it was pretty neat to see them winning all those matches in the beginning to gain the momentum and actually to take the lead for a second there. It was pretty special. A lot of highlights that week, and to see not only about Justin's putt on 17, but earlier in the week to see Tiger hole out, which was just an incredible shot on the 10th hole. He was behind the green and hit this high launching shot right up in the air, landed on the green, rolled down about 30 feet right into the hole. It's a shot that I still look at each and every day. It's our member 13th hole to see how somebody could make that shot, and to see he and Lehman play an alternate shot. And Lehman, he asked for his wedge to be altered, the lie angle to be altered, and our club repair area was actually in the European team's dining room. So I had to knock on the door and ask the guys if I could go in there and use the loft and lie machine, and made a slight adjustment. And on the first hole, he was long. He was playing with Tiger in an alternate shot, and he holed a shot out. So that was pretty exciting to think that you made an adjustment to his wedge and hold it out on the first hole for them to win the first hole. But a lot of exciting things that took place, and for the U.S. to, again, one of the more spirited comebacks ever, and to happen on our soil at TCC was pretty special to be involved with.
Brendan, just a couple more before I let you go. And you mentioned your father a moment ago. We talked a little bit about this last time, but for those who weren't with us, your father was a very important figure in the Philadelphia golf scene. Remind everybody about him.
Father's, obviously, I'm a little prejudiced. My greatest role model. They grew up in the greatest generation of all time, born in 1922, and he went to Villanova, loved Villanova, was part of, and he spent some time in the Navy, and then came back and went to law school, and decided not to study law. He got into the insurance when he was, I should say, practice law when he was just out of, while he was working as an attorney. Started selling insurance, established an insurance business, and had 4 kids at the time, and decided that he was going to go ahead and stick with insurance full time. And I had a very successful career, loved the game of golf, played a tremendous amount over the years, used a lot in business, as a lot of people do in the insurance business, and got very involved later in life as he had more time with Golf Association of Philadelphia, where he was the past president, still loved to compete. I think he's maybe the oldest ever to win the senior championship, GAP championship at 69. Just loved the game, multiple club champions from a bunch of different clubs that he was involved with over the years. And he taught us all how to play, and we loved playing golf with him. There wasn't nothing that I enjoyed more later in life when my 6 brothers and my father, we'd go out and play golf, typically over Thanksgiving when everybody was home, and to have that opportunity. And special human being, did a lot for the J. Wood Platt Caddy Scholarship, which is very similar to the Evans and the We Met Foundation. And there's an award named after my parents, Barbara and Bill Walsh Distinguished Service Award, given each year to someone in the Golf Association of Philadelphia who puts a lot of time and effort into the J. Wood Platt Caddy Scholarship. Very neat for us to, as a family. My brother Chet, typically as a spokesperson, goes to that banquet every year. We lost my mom last summer at 97, lived an amazing life and raising 15 kids, and just a special human being. And so she would go with my brother Chet, who's very well known in the Philadelphia area with his golf. And So Chet will be the representative as we go forward, but it's a really nice thing to have in their honor.
You've certainly done your parents very proud. You're creating your own golf legacy. Like I said, you are so well respected around the game. Is there something else that you still want to do, Brendan?
Thank you, Chris. Yes, I am going to get into the consulting area. I love to speak on culture and mentorship and how to be a great teammate, and doing that in a small way now, but I'll start to gain a little bit more traction this fall and we get into next year. I'm really excited about taking on a new chapter, and still teaching at the club a little bit, and in the business from 10,000 feet and kind of over it, I should say, not in it, and helping Nick Hollowell, our new director of golf, has been with us for 8 years, has a great resume in golf, has worked for all the great head professionals throughout the country, as with Bob Ford and Dave Reisner and Devin Gee and Matt Cahill. And we were fortunate enough to have him for 8 seasons at TCC, and he's off to a wonderful start. And I'm there to assist in any way I can, but I'm staying out of his way. And it's really a treat to be able to still teach. I love to keep my hand in the game. We're going to spend more time in Florida, but I'm excited for this next chapter. I have a lot of energy in the tank, and I was very unique this year, waking up on Memorial Day and July 4th and having them off for the first time in 40 years. And it felt pretty darn good. I enjoyed it very much, and I'm excited for spend more time. My wife grew up in Florida. Her mom's still doing fantastic and health-wise. And so we're going to spend more time there in the winter, and have an opportunity to be able to do some fun things, which I'm excited about. But I'm grateful for you, and I'm grateful for the opportunity here. And thanks for all you do for the game of golf. And I'll leave everybody with an acronym that's fantastic to think about in life, is called AGH. And every day have a great attitude, have gratitude and humility. And we're all going to be a lot better as people and better in this game if we can practice AGH each and every day.
100% agree with that, my friend. Brendan, you're outstanding. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your night to come back and be a part of the show. I always enjoy when I get to spend time with you. I hope we get this privilege again with you before too long.
You got to make it to Boston sometime so we can play some golf, Chris, okay?
Thank you. Absolutely do that.
All right, be well. Thanks so much.
You too. Take care, Brendan.
Okay, take care.
That is the great Brendan Walsh, folks. Again, so many great things. And I love that last piece, AGH, attitude, gratitude, and humility, right? I mean, that's what we talk about on this show a lot, right? A huge dose of vitamin G, a huge dose of gratitude. Great way to start each and every day. So I love this acronym. I'm going to steal that from Brendan. But just look, a great guy who is a wonderful golf ambassador and has been for the last couple of years since he's left the country club, from a great family. Again, one of, 15 kids. I mean, it's unbelievable. His parents and the influence that they had, and not only on the family, making it a great family unit, but they've had on their communities, and have an award, and Distinguished Service Award in their honors, just speaks to how wonderful they were as individuals and what they did to give back to their community. And look, anybody out there that's looking for a speaker or a consultant, you need to get in touch with Brendan. How great would he be in front of your organization to give a speech, to talk about the things that he talked about in this conversation? And again, focused around gratitude. I mean, I can't imagine a better guy that I wouldn't want up there talking to my organization to talk about the things that he's done, he's been a part of, the things he talked about this time around and last time around. And then to have that, instilled, if you will, in your organization, to hear it come from Brendan, I think would just be tremendous. So go out there, follow him, check him out, and I'll try to get Brendan back on the show again before too long. Coming up next is David Jackson, a wonderful player in college at the University of Florida, played out on the PGA Tour, actually led the tour in driving one year. Before David joins me, you guys have heard me talking about and bragging about the things that are going on up at Macklemore. It's an unbelievable golf resort and destination. Let me remind you about what they have going on this year. Get ready to experience a game like never before at the Keep, the brand new Bill Bergen and Reese Jones co-designed course at Macklemore. With its challenging layout and awe-inspiring views, every round here is an unforgettable adventure. Whether you're taking on the signature holes or just soaking in the scenery, the Keep is where your best golf meets nature's finest backdrop. So grab your clubs and join us up at Macklemore. The Keep is open and it's waiting for you. And folks, if you haven't tried 2 Under yet, you really need to. Why? Well, from the first tee to the clubhouse, 2Under's Joey Pouch is going to keep you comfortable and locked in all round or all day. Build your own bundle by going online to 2Under, that's the number 2, UNDR.com, and save up to 20%. Okay, now making his next on the tee debut with me is David Jackson. Let me give you some background on David. He's from Monticello, Florida, which is just south of the Georgia line and a little northeast of Tallahassee. Played his college golf at the University of Florida, where he helped the Gators win the SEC championship in 1985. He was a 4-time All-American. He won twice while he was there at Florida, at the 1983 Florida Intercollegiate Tournament and again at the 1985 South Florida Intercollegiate. While there, he earned his bachelor's degree in exercise and sports sciences. He turned pro in 1986, graduated from Q-School in 1988. He finished second on tour in driving distance in 1989. He got his first win in 1992 on what was then the Ben Hogan Tour, now the Korn Ferry Tour, at the Cleveland Open. He also had 2 runner-up finishes that year, one of which came after making it into a playoff at the Dakota Dunes Open. He's coaching now. He's working with Megan Schofill, who was an All-American at Auburn. She won the 2023 U.S. Women's Amateur Championship, and she won earlier this year out on the Epson Tour, which we'll talk about in just a bit. And I couldn't be more excited that I get to have him joining me this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, David, thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, Chris, thank you. I'm impressed you knew where Monticello, Florida was.
How about that?
Yeah.
David, I want to start our time today going back to your college days, because as a kid, like we say, outside of Tallahassee, near the Georgia State line, how did your head coach, Lynn Blevins, get you past Florida State and Georgia to play your college golf at Florida?
Well, I grew up not liking the Gators at all. My dad graduated from pharmacy school at the University of Georgia, so I was a big Bulldog fan. The guy who is now my brother-in-law, married my sister. He played golf at Auburn, so the Auburn coach knew me since I was, 13 or 14-year-old. Georgia recruited me a little bit, like my junior year, and Auburn, when they could, they offered me. Georgia signed a really good class the year before me, so didn't have a lot of scholarship money left. And I think Billy Andre was committed to Florida, but decommitted to go to Wake Forest. So it was like December, and Coach Blevins did not have a commitment. And he had heard about me through a kid on the team, and he called me and invited me down for a visit. And I went down, and I loved it, and came home and told my parents that's where I want to go to school. So that's how I wound up at Florida.
What do you recall about your first win there at the 83 Florida Intercollegiate Tournament? What do you remember about that week?
It was a surprise. I remember, because I grew up in, like we said, Monticello, Florida, on a little 9-hole course. And I remember the first day that we had practice, and we were back at the athletic dorm eating dinner that night, and all the guys were complaining about the condition of the golf course. And they asked me what I thought about it. And I said, well, guys, I'll be honest with you. I'm just happy to have 18 holes. Where I come from, we play the whites, the front 9, the blues, the back 9. So it was, this was all kind of new to me. And we were playing the state intercollegiate, and I won, and I do remember reading the article afterwards in Golf Week where they talked about how much time I took over the ball. So I guess I was thinking a lot and playing real slow, and I read that article, and I did not like that. So after that, I went to a one look and go, and figured, if I was going to play bad fast. So I sped up after that. And, but no, it really kind of made me realize I could play at that level, I guess, was the best thing about it.
Also that year in the Florida Gator Golf Invitational, you finished second to Brad Faxon. What was it like competing against Fax that week?
It was, really a dream come true. For me to be, my goal had always been to play college golf. And, obviously I knew who Fax was, and to be able to be out there competing with him, it just, it just gave you a lot of confidence. And then I was also fortunate enough to play with Fax the first 2 days in the qualifying at the U.S. Amateur, the first 36 holes at the Country Club, in Boston, where, he was grew up 30 minutes away from there or whatever. So that was quite a treat playing with him there. Huge crowds. Fax was a great guy. We both made the cut, got beat in the second round there, but great experience.
Scott Dunlap was one of your teammates. You may know this show was hosted on the Pittsburgh Tribune Review site, and I'm from Pittsburgh, so obviously as Scott, what was it like teaming with him?
It was great. Scott was a very smart guy. Great ball striker. Struggled a little bit with the chipping back then. I remember we were playing the Gator Intercollegiate, and we're in a playoff with Tennessee, and first hole he was in the first group out, and I was in the second group. He drives it down there about 50 yards short right of the green. Instead of pulling out a wedge, I see him pull out his putter and put it up there. But obviously, he overcame it. He had an excellent career. He played obviously overseas quite a bit, and then on the tour and the senior tour. And Scott and I stay in touch. He's a good friend, great guy.
David, I've talked with so many of your former peers about the trials and tribulations of trying to get through Q-School. In '88, it was contested over 6 rounds between PGA West and the Dunes course at the La Quinta Hotel Golf Club. You finished tied with another great friend of the show, Bob Estes, plus other good friends were in that field: Billy Mayfair, Jay Delsing, Billy Andrade, Ed Humanick, Rex Caldwell, Duffy Waldorf. I could go on and on. But talk about what it was like for you competing for 6 rounds against a field like that.
Well, I guess the biggest memory for me was I did not play good the first day. I think I shot 75, and the scores were good. And I was talking to Dr. Bob Rotella, the well-known sports psychologist, after the first round, and 4-day cut, six round tournament if you make 4-day cut, and I'm a little bit stressed out because I'm not in good shape after the first day. And he said, "David, just go play one shot at a time. Don't worry about the cut. They'll tell you when you can't play anymore." And just that conversation, it just hit home with me. And I think I shot about 600 the next day, and then just played solid the last 4 rounds. And coming into my 17th hole was a par 3 over water, and I hit it on the green. And I knew I was in by, a couple of shots at that point if I could just finish. And par 17, then 18, there was water left of the green, and the pin was left, and I aimed at the far right fringe for my second shot. I knew a bogey, I would still be fine if I made bogey it. And I hit it on the right edge of the green. And I knew at that point, I was going to get my PGA Tour card, and it was obviously a very exciting moment.
No doubt. Looking at the 1992 season that you had when you played on the Ben Hogan Tour, it was pretty special. You started out that year with no status on any tour. You had to qualify each week to play in the tournaments. You made it into 6 of the first 9 events. What was it like for you out there grinding away, having to earn your way into each one of those tournaments?
Well, And at the second stage of tour school, in the fall of the year before that, I lost in a playoff. There was 6 of us for 5 spots, and I finished 6th. So I did not. So that kept me from getting to the finals of Q School. And if you could just get to the finals back then, you would either get your tour card or your Ben Hogan card. So yeah, I had no status. I was qualifying and was, as you mentioned, making quite a few. And if you finished top 25, you got in the next week. And I went to Pittsburgh and signed up and made that Monday qualifier. It was a place called Quicksilver. And coming in and, top 25, like I said, gets in the next week, which was in Cleveland. And I could not do the Cleveland Monday qualifier because I was doing the second stage of the U.S. Open qualifier. So there in Pittsburgh, so I couldn't do Cleveland. So the only way I could get into Cleveland was by finishing top 25. And when I got done, it looked like I was probably barely going to miss. It was going to be close. And a good friend of mine, Jeff Gallagher, who was actually in the last group and did not play good that day. I think he was high 70s, but he missed a 3-footer on 18, which let me tie for 25th, which got me into Cleveland the next week. And I wound up winning Cleveland, which was the biggest tournament on the Hogan Tour at the time. Most of our tournaments were 36,000 for first place. Cleveland was 50,000 for first place. So that was a game changer for me, obviously. And like you said, I went on to finish second at Dakota Dunes. I lost in the playoff, and second at the Utah Classic, I think it was, which allowed me to get into the top 5 to get my tour card for the following year. So to go from no status to be able to do that was obviously a special year.
Yeah, so you had a great run there in 92. You mentioned winning the Cleveland Open. You win wire to wire that week. You win by 3 strokes, shot 17 under par for the tournament, and then go on to finish tied for 4th at the Fort Wayne Open a few weeks later. You were only 2 strokes out of the lead, followed by barely coming up short in a playoff at the Dakota Dunes Open a few weeks after that. You finished tie 8th at the Greater Ozarks Open when you had a share of the lead going into the final round. Then near the end of the season, you finished second in the Utah Classic. Talked about that a little bit ago. But talk about that run and your keys to success that year.
Well, I was always a long hitter, but I was driving it so long and so straight, and then making some putts. And even a hole that, back then we used to hit a lot of 1-irons, or, a lot of us hit 1-irons, and I was just driving it so good. Every hole I wanted to hit driver on, and was just driving it really good, and, streaky with the putter, making, having some good putting tournaments. And those are the ones that I was, up there high end. And so just relaxed and confident, and just the momentum just kept building.
So like you alluded to there a moment ago, you end up finishing 5th on the money list on the Hogan Tour that year. That had to be awfully satisfying for you as you kind of look back then and now to come from no status to finishing 5th on the tour. That's a heck of an accomplishment.
Yeah, it was. And it, I think the thing I kind of hate to see to a degree is seems like they're trying to taking some of those opportunities away for guys to, Monday qualify and play your way on to, tours and stuff. It's just getting harder and harder to do that. And there's been some great stories, Kenny Knox Monday qualifying and winning on the tour. And there's been some cool story. And stories. And I just think that's what's so good about pro golf. If you can put the numbers up, they can't keep you out. And so it was definitely a special year for sure.
So to your point a moment ago, I mean, when I think about what the tour is going to become, David, and all the things that they're talking about in 2028, a championship series, a challenger series, the Korn Ferry Tour. Brian Roloff hasn't really said what he plans to do about the DP World Tour, where you can have the top 10 there, get their PGA Tour card. But to your point about the Monday qualifiers, getting rid of that, it just, I'm kind of lost for what the PGA Tour is going for here. I mean, before the advent of Live Golf, from 1968 to about 2020, 2021, everything was fine on the PGA Tour. I mean, I understand that there were some things that the players wanted and they felt like they didn't have a voice, and so some things needed to change. It's unfortunate that things were forced to change the way they were, but I just don't understand what they're going for. I don't understand why we need a two-tier system, how the Korn Ferry Tour is going to fit into that, how they're going to find sponsors that are going to want to pony up, because every one of the 23 to 24 tournaments on the championship series are all going to be $20 million purses. And then the challenger series are going to be $4 million purses. Who's going to want to spend that kind of money for a field that's not going to have the superstars in it? Where are they going to televise it? Who's going to tune in to watch it? I just got a lot of questions about where the tour is going. I don't understand it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't either. I guess I'm a little bit old school, and I think corporate America loved that you had to go out there and earn it. It wasn't given to you through contracts or whatever. I mean, you had to go out there. I mean, there was cuts, and you're spending your own money to travel the tour. I know there's endorsements and all that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. How are you? I mean, if you're whatever they go to, top 100, top 70, how do you break in there? I mean, how long do those guys get to stay out there? I don't know. I guess, like I said, I'm kind of old school, and I yearn for some of the days like back then. But hey, it's a changing world. I get it.
Indeed. David, I want to jump ahead to now because you're working with a very talented young lady, Megan Schofill, who was an All-American at Auburn. She won the 2023 U.S. Women's Amateur Championship. She's also won on the Epson Tour this year, back in early May at the Arizona Women's Golf Classic. Talk about your relationship with Megan and when you started to work with her.
Well, Megan's parents moved up to Monticello, Florida, from South Florida. They had family near here, but not in Monticello, and they wound up moving to Monticello and actually moved into the same neighborhood that me and my family live in, my wife and my 3 kids. And Megan was born while her parents were here in Monticello, and I had my youngest son is her age. My wife worked was the business manager at the school. Megan rode to school with her every day. And then when she was about 8 years old, she was coming to my golf camps, starting at about 8. And then at about 10 to 12, she didn't play a lot of golf. She was kind of getting into softball. Her sister was a real good softball player. But then at about age 12, she started playing golf again, and I started coaching her, and I realized by the time she was about 14, she was going to be special. And I told her dad, I said, hey, she's going to be special. You probably need to send her to one of these big name teachers. And her dad, Billy, would take her somewhere to see somebody, and he said they'd be coming back, and she'd say, I want to go back and see Mr. David. So it just she's like a daughter, a second daughter to me. And so we just, I've been teaching her since she was about 12 years old, and she's a hard worker. She's very talented. She had a great career at Auburn. She won the U.S. Women's Amateur, which was just unbelievable. And now she's doing well on the Epson Tour. So certainly hoping she, gets her shot at the LPGA. I think she definitely has the game to do it. She's a great ball striker and I call her a kid. She's not a kid anymore, but she's a wonderful person.
What was it like around the neighborhood when she won the U.S. Women's Am and then won earlier this year on the Epson Tour? I got to imagine maybe a block party or two might have broke out.
We had a crew here at my house, and we were watching it. And when she tapped in to win, I had to act like I was going to the kitchen to get something to drink so I could wipe away the tears that were starting to come. I was just so proud of her. And it was just so cool to see.
Yeah. And you mentioned she's currently 11th in the points, the race for the card for her LPGA Tour card for next year. And the players that are inside the top 15 earn their tour card. I got to imagine she's getting pretty close to another big celebration taking place.
Yeah, we need a good strong finish. Last year, she actually finished 16th on the money list, so she missed by one. And at the Epson Tour Championship, she finished tied for 5th, and one shot better, she would have been 4th by herself, and she would have been in the top 15. So last year was really close, but she's playing well, and I think she'll be in there this year.
David, when you're not helping Megan with her golf game, what are you doing now?
I actually work with a company that we put mental health clinics into schools, especially into rural areas where there's not any providers or not many providers, and we help kids, and so it's very gratifying to do that, to help kids in that way. I'm not a therapist. I go meet with the schools and get us set up to go get set up in the schools. So I do that, and I give golf lessons in the afternoons and on the weekends. So I teach quite a few kids still. Golf really. I mean, I was in the golf business, before COVID. And man, since COVID, it's just been a lot more in my area, just, a lot more people calling for lessons. So it's good. I have quite a few kids I help, and I really enjoy that. I'm looking for another Megan.
So David, now for people that are saying, boy, I'd sure like to work with David Jackson on my game, for people that are in and around the Monticello area or maybe online, how can they get in touch with you and get on your tee sheet?
Well, I can give you my cell phone number. That's how I do everything.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I'm, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit old school, but I've got a cell number I can give you and a email address I can give you. My email is David UF, as in University of Florida, David UF, the number 86. That was the year I graduated. David UF 86 at gmail.com. And my cell phone number is 850-528-0025.
Perfect.
850-528-0025.
David, it's been a real treat having you as part of the show. I certainly wish you and Megan tons of success, and I can't thank you enough for what you have meant to the game of golf over the course of your career. I hope I get this privilege of catching up with you again before too long.
Sounds good, Chris. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Take care, David. All the best to you and your family. We'll catch up soon.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
See you, David.
Bye-bye.
That is David Jackson, folks. Again, he gave out his email address, daviduf as in University of Florida, 86@gmail.com. And the phone number again was 850-528-0025. And you go back and you look at his amateur career, if you will. Going there to the University of Florida, winning a couple of times out there, grinding his way to get onto the Hogan Tour, what is now the Korn Ferry Tour, right? Through those Monday qualifiers and qualifying for most of them. And then getting out there and having the year that he did in 92. Getting through Q-School. You guys have heard so many of the stories about the guys who absolutely the most stressful period in their careers was trying to make it through Q-School. And he does that thanks to Dr. Bob Rotella. You've heard Tim Simpson just last week on the show talk about the work that he did with Dr. Bob Rotella. And so many of the PGA Tour pros went to him back in the day and still do. So getting his mind right to play freer and looser and then to just tear up the golf course over the next 5 rounds to get himself through that 88 Q-School. And again, how many great players were in that Q-School with him that graduated through that year? Again, I mentioned Bob Estes is a wonderful friend of the show, as is Billy Mayfair, as is Jay Delsing. And along with all of those guys, you had Billy Andrade, Ed Humanick, Rex Caldwell, Duffy Waldorf, Lance Tembreck, Brad Bryant, the list goes on, that were in that talented class that got through along with David. And then to get out there, like I say, and to persevere, and then to have that wonderful stretch in 92 where he finally gets a win and then plays such wonderful golf, a couple of second place finishes, a tie for 4th, getting out there with second place at the Utah Classic, 5th on the money list. Tremendous, right? He is one of the 1% of the 1%ers, right? I mean, when I was talking to David prior to the show, he's like, I don't know what anybody would want to know from me or care about what I did in my career. I'm like, David, for crying out loud, you did so many great things that so many of us aspire to. You had a moment out there on tour where you were playing amongst the best of the best, and you earned the right to be there. That's what I respect about David so much, is he earned the right. He came so close so many times, but persevered through. That's another thing, perseverance, that I respect about David in his career. So he grinded through, he persevered, and then he came out on top. And I think it's a wonderful story. He's a wonderfully talented player, and now obviously a great coach. The work he's doing with Megan, and you talk about a girl that is on her way, an All-American at Auburn, the U.S. Women's Amateur Champion in 23, won this year on the Epson Tour, very close to earning her LPGA Tour. So I'm card, and I'm so happy for David and for Megan. I'm very much looking forward to keeping track of what Megan's success looks like for the remainder of this year and seeing her inside that top 15 and reaching out to David. Hopefully that's the time when she earns that LPGA Tour card, we can get David back and talk about all the exciting things that are ahead for Megan and her LPGA Tour career. Thank you so much to David. He's fantastic. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on this episode of Next on the Tee. I want to send out my sincere thanks again to Brendan Walsh and David Jackson for joining me today. Scheduled to join me next time are, of course, our resident director of instruction, Tom Patry, will be back, as will the sports time traveler, Len Furman, will make a return visit, as will top 100 instructor Virgil Herring. So, folks, you're definitely not going to want to miss that one. I want to thank our friends again over at Trib Live for being such wonderful partners and for hosting this show on their site. For the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond, including your favorite sports, go to triblive.com. You can find the show by then clicking on the sports section tab, and it's going to be right there for you front and center on the homepage of the sports section. Or you can type in podcast.triblive.com, click on Next on the Tee, and then many of the most recent episodes from this season are going to be available for you there as well. But as you guys all know, you can find the show pretty much anywhere you get your podcast content. We're out there on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Good Pods, golfnewsnet.com. And I also want to invite you to subscribe to my new page out on Substack. I've got some great articles available for you there. You can also listen to this show on there. There's also things from the Next on the Tee Legends Vault from the over 1,000 episodes of going back and pulling some great shorts in there for you, some 1 to 5 minute audio clips from some great episodes from the past, plus also the Did You Know series about many of the great players and instructors that have been a part of the show over the last 13 seasons. So please go out there and subscribe. It's free for you. and I think you're really going to enjoy it. But folks, like I say each and every week before I sign off, I want to send out my biggest thanks. A huge dose of vitamin G, which is what Brendan Walsh talked about, right, in the first segment of this show. Right? A huge dose of vitamin G to each and every one of you for pressing play and making Next on the Tee a part of your weekly golf content. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to each and every one of you. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.
Thanks for joining Chris again this week on Next on the Tee. We hope you enjoyed the conversations as much as we did. Please share the show with your golf buddies and be sure to follow it on Trib Live or your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. Thanks for pressing play and being part of the journey. We'll see you next week, right here, where the best minds in golf share their stories.